Welcome into America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates. Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Advisory services offered through the Retirement Guys Formula, a registered investment advisor. America's Retirement Headquarters, America's Medicare Associates, and the Retirement Guys Formula are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates, here on News Radio 1370 WSPD and 92.9 FM. My name is Chris Swan, and like I said, we appreciate you joining us. Here's how you reach out. 419-909-3319 is the number. It's 419-909-3319. Also online, americasretirementheadquarters.com. On today's show, we're going to talk about the coin shortage. Can you avoid probate by simply giving a house to your adult children? And what factors you should consider when choosing a financial advisor. But first, let me check in with the men of the half hour here, Mr. Nolan Baker and Scott Kirshner. How are we doing this weekend?
Great. How are you, Chris? Doing well?
I'm doing well. I still have some Thanksgiving turkey leftovers I'm trying to work through and figuring that out. It's always that challenging thing for me, figuring out, you can only repurpose turkey so many times. But aside from that, I'm doing well. Nolan, how about you?
Yeah, doing great. Just very thankful for this time of the year. It gives you an opportunity to kind of reflect a little bit about 2020. Obviously a very crazy year, but a lot of things to be thankful about.
Absolutely. Actually, let's jump into this. We thought we would start the show by asking a couple of the listeners what they were most thankful for. And here's what they told us.
It's been a challenging year for this country, and I'm just thankful for all the servicemen and firemen, policemen, and all of their services for all of us so we can feel safe.
During the holidays, you get to spend time outside of work. You get to relax, take some time off, recharge your batteries, and spend time with the ones that are the closest to you.
I'm thankful for family and friends.
Definitely for my family, my kids, my beautiful wife.
Family, of course, a common denominator there, and I know that's the same with you guys as well. But let's get into it a little bit more since we are a couple days removed from Thanksgiving. But what are you guys most thankful for this year?
If I look back this year, I'm, very thankful for obviously all of the clients that we serve this year. I think this year our team demonstrated a really good ability to make sure that when times get tough, we can step up and help our family of clients. This was a year that we really needed to kind of help people and kind of walk through. As a company, we've really tried to be community involved. I'm very thankful for my family, but also more thankful for what some of my family members have done with being involved this year. We spent some time together as a family working at our local food bank, packing groceries for people here in the community. Mm-hmm. My oldest son finished up his Eagle Scout project. We redid 1,500 veteran grave sites this year was part of his Eagle Scout project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and most recently our team has gotten more involved with an organization called Hooves, which Hooves here in town helps people that are active duty military and veterans that are suffering from PTSD. And, we've talked about, and you can't go anywhere but hear on the news how it's been mentally challenging this year just for all Americans. And, you add the stress on top of that for being a service member. It's good to be able to team up with organizations like Hooves that are out there kind of helping people be able to deal with, maintain, and get back on track with their lives and continue to focus on making 2021 even better.
Yeah, Nolan, that was, I had the pleasure of going to Hooves, and I tell you what, that was, I don't know, I must have needed something like that, maybe the stress of 2020 and all of the craziness or the stress of the annual enrollment period. But that event was, for me, very touching. It makes me want to actually go out and help. And I tell you what, if you ever have the opportunity to participate or do something with Hooves, I would strongly encourage it. Once again, to echo, I think everybody should be thankful for family, and I'm very blessed to have a wonderful family and able to spend a lot of time with them. And there's so many people out there that don't get to spend time with their family, especially through the holidays and that, and with COVID. But Thanksgiving, just the holidays just puts a lot of people, there's a lot of people going through depression and anxiety and that. And boy, showing people that you love them and that you're there for them is very important, especially throughout the holidays.
Absolutely, and something that I'm grateful for in addition to that, because family, like we said, is a huge factor, is just advances in technology that we've had in, the past decade, in the past year alone, My father turned 70 earlier this year, and it was supposed to be a big celebration. We had started planning it last year, but it was back in April, and that was when everything was kind of shut down. And he's down there in Atlanta, so unfortunately wasn't able to make the trip. Wasn't able to celebrate with them. The same thing with Thanksgiving this year. But thanks to technology, I had a little Zoom meeting with them. I jumped in and was able to say hello. And that's something I want you guys to keep in mind as well, because when it comes to technology and maybe you have concerns about getting out and speaking with someone and developing that retirement plan, or sitting down and going out and putting that plan together in someone's office. But America's Retirement Headquarters, following all proper protocols, keeping things clean and hygienic. But should you feel more comfortable doing that phone conversation initially? Should you feel more comfortable doing a video conference that is available to you? Whatever you're most comfortable with, not having to make that decision between your physical health and your fiscal health. But you do have to give a call. Set up a time, 419-909-3319. Or you can also go online to americasretirementheadquarters.com as well and reach out. And again, it's a good time to reflect on the year, and it has been challenging, I think would say for everybody out there. And if you are facing challenges as far as, what am I going to do about retirement going forward if my plan is to retire next year or the year after that, or, anytime at all, it's a good time to reassess. So again, that number, 419-909-3319. Really quick, Scott, you mentioned the annual election period, and I want to go ahead and shine a light on that really quick because the annual election period is coming to a close soon, December 7th, right around the corner. But there's also something called the open enrollment period, which happens at the beginning of the year. And explain to me how those are different.
Well, Chris, you're exactly right. We've got just about 2 weeks left in the annual enrollment period, and you want to make sure that you meet with an advisor like myself or your own that you might have. And the reason why they put that together is to make a change to your plan. If for some reason you've lost a doctor or hospital or prescriptions are no longer covered in an affordable fashion for you, then you can make a change to your current Medicare Advantage plan or your prescription plan. And you have to do that before December 7th. After December 7th, you're kind of locked into that plan until January 1st. So what they've done is they've opened up what's called open enrollment. From January 1st to March 31st, you have the opportunity to make a one-time change. So for example, let's say that you were to switch your Advantage plan during the annual enrollment period, and you find out that it's just not working for you, or it's not something that you don't feel comfortable with it for whatever reason. You can make a one-time change during the open enrollment period. So there's drastic differences in the two, and you need to be aware of those. But if you don't make that change during the annual enrollment period, then when you get to open enrollment, you're kind of locked into what you have.
So it's important, again, to make note of those two dates, December 7th coming up here, the end of the annual enrollment period. But there is a slight mulligan of grace period at the beginning of the year as well. But it's better if you can get it right the first time, and that is something that Scott can sit down and speak with you. There's still time to do so, to schedule a time to speak with him and weigh the pros and cons and see what is the best choice for you going forward in the 2021 year. But you do have to give a call, 419-909-3319, or going online, americasmedicareassociates.com. A benefit of being independent, and I want to go ahead and bring this up really quick, is that you guys have access to a wide variety of different insurance carriers and plans, right? You're not beholden to one particular company or another.
Oh, absolutely. That's correct. That's a very good point to make too, Chris. Thank you. One of the big things that's happened in our direct listening area in the Maumee area is the ProMedica health system has, effective January 1st, dropped St. Luke's Hospital and several doctors from their network. So it's, there's some solutions to get your doctor and hospital. Obviously everybody gets very comfortable with the doctor, and if you had that doctor for a long period of time, whether it be, 20, 30 years, and you just don't want to change, or if you're very happy with that hospital, if it's very convenient, then you're going to need to look at some other options. And with us having access to 15 to 20 different carriers throughout the area, we should be able to find a solution for you. And I've been doing a lot of that over the last 2 or 3 weeks and really helping people out. It's very satisfying when someone, you can see the stress lifted from their shoulders when they know that they can still go to their doctor or hospital because we made a positive change for them.
And Medicare, is definitely a very confusing topic. In fact, 4 out of 5 people responded to a recent nationwide survey think that Medicare Part B, which covers doctor visits and diagnosis services, is free, and it's not. When you help people create a retirement plan, you have to look at your healthcare options, and it really kind of does work overall into the comprehensive plan. Kind of a big reason why we created America's Retirement Headquarters, the one location to have everything taken care of. And if you think about like your finances, the same applies when it deals with your health insurance. The less you know about how Medicare works, the more you risk struggling to afford your healthcare costs and being able to kind of keep those costs under control. 79% of future retirees, erroneously think that Medicare Part B, which covers doctor visits and diagnosis services, is free for workers who paid Social Security taxes for 10 years. But not only is Medicare Part B not free, it's just one of many things that you'll need to pay for under Medicare. And the sooner you read on what the cost to expect, the better you'll be able to kind of plan for that and integrate that into your overall comprehensive retirement income plan. And just as Scott points out, like reviewing your financial situation, it's always very helpful to review your options. So even if you're listening to this after the open enrollment period is done, if you're still confused on your health insurance and you're not sure what your options are, give us a call. We're happy to help you, kind of lead you down the right direction and talk to you about how to integrate that into your overall plan to be able to make sure that you're making smart, educated decisions about your healthcare choices for 2021 and beyond.
And that number is 419-909-3319. Or you can also go online, americasretirementheadquarters.com, to schedule a time to speak with them. In the working world, obviously, you want to accumulate money and save money towards retirement, but income generation and market performance and things like that is only one factor when it comes to your retirement. Healthcare, of course, is something you need to take into consideration. Taxes, Social Security, all these different pieces that, again, when you were in your 30s and your 40s, you probably didn't consider, but as you get closer to retirement, it is something you need to pay more attention to, and the sooner you do it, the sooner you get a start on it, the easier it'll be to transition into that retirement. But again, that's why America's Retirement Headquarters is kind of got it all under one umbrella, but to schedule a time to speak with them, 419-909-3319. You're listening to America's Retirement Headquarters here on News Radio 1370, WSPD and 92.9 FM. Gonna take a quick break. Coming up next, how do you go about choosing the right financial advisor? We'll have some tips about the pros and cons when we come back from the break.
Financial experts call them orphan 401ks. They're retirement accounts that we sort of forgot about when we changed jobs. Well, guess what? You can't afford to forget about that much money. Chances are your 401k assets make up a significant portion of your overall retirement savings, and that's why it's critical that you keep them up to date. Nolan Baker and his team at America's Retirement Headquarters can help you do that. They'll review your old accounts and explain what your options are. Maybe it's best to leave the account right where it is, or maybe you'd be better off rolling it over into an IRA. Each case is different, but Nolan will work with you to figure out what's best for you. Call 419-909-3319 and ask about receiving the complimentary guide, What Should I Do with My Old 401k? That's 419-909-3319, or visit americasretirementheadquarters.com.
If you're 65 or older, it's time to make your Medicare decisions for 2021. The annual election period runs from October 15th through December 7th. Keep in mind that plans often change from year to year, affecting everything from premiums to your coverage. Scott Kirshner of America's Medicare Associates can help you understand what those changes might mean for you. He'll also explain the Medicare supplemental options, and as an independent agency, America's Medicare Associates can shop the market for the plan that's best for you. Whether you're new to Medicare or just looking at the other options available to you for the coming year, it's easy to schedule a complimentary appointment. Just call 419-909-3319. That's 419-909-3319. Or go online at americasmedicareassociates.com. Don't forget, the annual election period ends December 7th.
I intentionally waited until after Thanksgiving to play any Christmas music here. Movie Home Alone actually celebrates its 30th anniversary this month. Warner Brothers set a $10 million budget for the film, and when it went over budget, they pulled the plug on it. But fortunately, Fox picked it up and paid for the rest of the production, which proved to be a really good move on their part because the movie went on to earn more than $475 million and is a staple these days. My son and I just watched that recently. Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters here on News Radio 1370 WSPD and 92.9 FM. 419-909-3319 is the number. Also online, the website, americasretirementheadquarters.com. Guys, have you run into this yet? Some businesses are running short on coins, so they're asking you to either pay with exact change or to use a credit card. And David Ryder, director of the U.S. Mint, says it's not a supply problem. It is a circulation issue.
The men and women of the Mint are working as hard as they possibly can to get newly produced coins into the economy. But right now, coins aren't circulating to the economy as quickly as they were prior to the COVID pandemic, which means that sometimes coins are not readily available where needed.
It's just another way that this pandemic has kind of made things difficult this year, but you've always said that we have more control over our financial future than we probably realize. So how do we go about taking back control during this crazy time?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like one more thing that people are hoarding, like toilet paper and other items like that.
Yeah, right.
Kind of hoarding their currency too. I would say, just realize, I know there's some people out there that are kind of thinking conspiracy theory about digital currency, and then, they want the government to be able to track everything. And, maybe that is somewhat a little bit true, but just relax, take a deep breather, and just realize that, as we move forward, there's going to be more and more ways and forms dealing with transactions. I think Venmo is something that's pretty interesting, kind of a way to transfer money back and forth. You have Bitcoin. Our country's going to continue to evolve, and you just kind of roll with it a little bit, just be able to deal with things. Takeaway I would tell you is I recently was writing an article for another publication, and I talked about the actual importance of using real money. So one of the things that can be easy this holiday season is get caught up into spending way too much and charging too much on the credit cards, and then all of a sudden you get a big bill come January. One of the things that the best advice of dealing with currency this year is think throughout the holiday season when you're gift buying, really actually still consider using cash to pay for items. And if that particular store doesn't take currency, maybe consider shopping at a different store. But there's some real big benefits, I think, for you being able to stick to what your holiday budget is when you pay for items in cash and don't put it on a credit card this holiday season.
Right. And I think, like they said, I don't know that it's necessarily a supply issue. It's a circulation issue. And like Nolan said, I don't know that it's something that you need to really get all nervous and upset about. Just kind of take a deep breather, relax, and things will work out.
I really do like the suggestion of maybe using cash for your holiday shopping this year, because it does make you more aware, I think, of how much you're actually spending. Whereas if you just, click buy it now on the website, or, put it on a credit card, it's not as easy to process until, like you said, that bill comes at the end of the month, or whenever it does show up in the month, and then hopefully not getting any sticker shock. But just things to keep in mind this year as you go through the holidays and shopping is underway. You're listening to America's Retirement Headquarters here on News Radio 1370 WSPD and 92.9 FM. 419-909-3319 is the number, and they're here to get you thinking more seriously about retirement and helping you out through the process. When it comes to choosing a financial advisor, some people compare it to buying a house or deciding to get married, those big decisions of life. And a recent Northwestern Mutual study found that people who work with an advisor have greater financial security and confidence. But how do you know you're actually choosing the right advisor? What are some red flags that people should be looking for? You guys have a list there from Smart Assets. Let's go over the list if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this year's a great example of the value of a financial professional. We saw the markets falling the fastest they've ever fallen, going back even greater than the Great Depression. And, it just gives you an opportunity to not maybe make a decision based upon the things that you hear on the news, but making a decision based upon working with a professional who understands what your goals and objectives are, helping you kind of remove the emotions of it, making sure that you stick with your investment policy statement. And part of that is if you don't have an advisor, maybe you didn't get that guidance this year and you're considering a couple of things, ideas that I would say is, maybe not necessarily hire the first advisor you meet. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing to maybe interview a couple different people. I know organizations work different. We're not right for everybody. There's a lot of great qualified financial professionals that are out there, but you need to be thinking about kind of what the specialty is of what you're looking for to have accomplished in your financial situation, and choosing an organization that kind of focuses on that specialty. Here at America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates, we are really kind of focused on helping people transition from their working lives into retirement time, and taking somewhat of a comprehensive approach where we can take a look at things like their health and benefits, their investments, their estate planning, their taxes, and be able to kind of coordinate it all together. So as we mentioned during the first part of the show, the decisions that you make with your health insurance will impact your finances long time. And being able to have all of these things coordinated together, I think, is a good idea. That what makes our firm a little bit different. If you think about it, then I think it's also a good idea to make sure that you're talking to the professional to understand what their strategy is, meaning what is their methodology? So, what specifically are they going to do if and when the market goes down? How are they going to try to take advantage of trends? Who's involved in the decision-making process? Also, I think you'd want to understand things like the credentials or the background in the business. We've been doing it myself personally over 26 years. And, I think in the first couple of years that I was in the business, I've learned a lot. I've experienced market declines. I've seen things happen with losing loved ones. And I think there is a lot to be said about that. Having a little gray hair and a little bit of experience, I think, goes a long way.
Nolan, do you find a lot of people are a little nervous about picking an advisor and are afraid to ask the question, what kind of fees are there? Because they don't want to offend you as an advisor.
I think it is a fair question. It's your money. You need to understand what your fees and expenses are. Not only if you're going to write a check for those, or if you're going to pay assets under management fees, or even to what the internal expenses are. So it is a fair question. And if the person that you're interviewing can't confidently explain it in a clear, easy to understand situation of what the fees and expenses are, that could be a red flag for sure. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I have I've met with several people over this annual enrollment period, and a few of them will ask, so do you charge a fee? Is there a fee for me sitting down and talking with you today? And, with Medicare, there is no fee. I don't charge a sitting fee at all, compensated from the insurance companies that the plans are purchased through. But it just seems like some people are afraid to ask that question because they just don't want to offend you. And that's important to know. Like with Medicare, choosing an advisor like AMA, we're an independent agency, and we represent several companies throughout the area. That allows us to shop the market for you. If you have a direct writer, if you purchase a plan through a direct writer, there's not a whole lot of shopping they can do for you. You're going to have either a higher premium or lesser benefits is the only way they're going to be able to save you money. So, I think with Medicare, choosing an advisor is a very, very important thing to keep in mind as well.
I find it interesting that people are hesitant to ask the questions, the important questions, because we talk about developing a plan to get them to retirement and through retirement and beyond that. So a relationship that could potentially last 15, 20, 30 years maybe even. And, we heard the analogy earlier, deciding to get married. In a way, it is one of the longest relationships you could potentially have. And so it makes sense that, right there at the beginning, you guys are on the same page and that you ask the questions that you want to know. It's a first date, I guess. It's been a while since, I know I've been married for going on 11 years now, so it's been a while since I've had a first date, and I know you guys as well. But it is kind of that feeling out process to make sure that as a relationship you want to go forward. So don't be afraid to ask those questions or any questions you may have going forward, because that's how you really get started on the right foot and hopefully create that successful relationship. But that all starts with that phone call, 419-909-3319, or americasretirementheadquarters.com is the website as well. You mentioned estate planning, Nolan, earlier, and I've heard that people sometimes give their houses to their adult children in hopes of avoiding probate when they die. But NerdWallet says that's usually a mistake because it leaves them with a big tax bill. So I think that's just another example of how complicated legacy planning can be if you don't do it right.
Yeah, another great example of where these things kind of go hand in hand to each other. Again, working more on the comprehensive planning part of the equation, I would always say consult with your tax professional and or attorney before making, any important decisions like gifting your house. But a lot of times it can be a big disaster. The current tax code is much more favorable with something called stepped up basis at death to be able to keep the house in your name. At times, it's also a goal of families maybe to try to avoid losing a house if mom or dad end up in a nursing home with a Medicaid spend down, and there's issues that come into play with look back period. But there's also issues that come in play with liability. So if you take your house out of your name and you put it in somebody else's name, what happens if that person gets into an automobile accident and something really bad happens and they don't have great coverage? Or what happens if that individual ends up getting a divorce and that divorcing spouse feels entitled to half of that asset? So there's a lot to think through, and adding somebody's name on your checking account, taking assets out of your name and putting into somebody else's name really should be a decision that you want all of the key financial professionals on the same page making those decisions. Get your financial professional and your accountant and your attorney involved before you make any of those quick decisions. And even times people try to make quick decisions before end of the year happens. So time is ticking. If that is kind of a concern for you about voiding probate and or looking to avoid a Medicaid spend down, let's take a look at it. Let's talk about it and develop a plan before we dot the I's and cross the T's.
December 31st is quickly approaching us, but there is still time to take the time and make a sound decision. It's definitely a measure twice, cut once sort of situation. And sitting down and speaking with America's Retirement Headquarters, speaking with Nolan and Scott, is as easy as picking up the phone, 419-909-3319. One last time, that number is 419-909-3319. You can also reach them day and night, americasretirementheadquarters.com. You've been listening to America's Retirement Headquarters here on News Radio 1370 WSPD and 92.9 FM. As always, we appreciate you taking time out of your weekend to join us. Hope you have an excellent week ahead of you. And gentlemen, before we go, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yeah, just again, after the holidays, just really thankful for all of you. We've got more holidays coming up, with Christmas. I think it's another time to be reflective on the positives that have happened this year and just know that things continue to get better. Stay focused. It will get better if you've had some challenges, and take a moment to be reflective on all the great things that happened this year.
America's Retirement Headquarters is located at 1700 Woodlands Drive in Maumee, Ohio. You can reach them by calling 419-909-3319 or online at americasretirementheadquarters.com. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Nolan Baker is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Nolan Baker, Ohio Insurance License Number 27787.